A few weeks ago, I found myself looking at an old PC in the middle of a thrift shop. I inspected it as best as I could and ultimately decided it was worth the gamble for $17. In this video, I'm going to show you how I gave life to this computer by turning it into the ultimate Bitcoin node. Stick around and I'll walk you through every step that I took so that you too can revive that old PC of yours. So I mentioned in the intro that I checked this out in the store, so I'm going to show you how I did that. Luckily, I was able to unscrew these screws with my fingers and just pop off this cover, so it was quite easy to inspect. And the first thing that I noticed is that I have these 2 sticks of RAM sitting here. So RAM is pretty expensive nowadays, so this was a really nice thing to see. Also, everything looks really clean, so that was also awesome. Here is an NVIDIA 1030 GPU. I don't have one of these, so I'm really happy that this one comes with one. And then here on the right side under this bracket is where the storage resides. I couldn't tell how much storage I had, but I knew something was back there, so I felt comfortable making the purchase. I bought this for $16.99 and I took it home. And now that it's on my bench, now we're going to open it up and see what kind of storage I actually have. It turns out I have the ADATA SU650 500GB SSD. So not bad, but not enough for running a Bitcoin node. Luckily, here I have an extra SATA port. So I can add another 1 TB that I have here lying around. So we're going to do that later. Also, here in this wiring harness, we have another SATA power cable. So it looks like it's being used to power the LED on the power button. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and I'm going to reuse this to power my new SSD that I'm going to be adding to this in the next steps. So with that being said, I have one thing on my mind. I want to be able to salvage this NVIDIA 1030 graphics card. My Bitcoin node has no use for it, so I would like to take it off and be able to use it for myself. However, computers require a graphics card, so I'll need to make sure that we have an integrated graphics with the CPU first. A good way to do that is I'm going to plug in to the motherboard connector and then try to turn on the PC and see what happens. I had to buy this dongle to plug into the display port with my HDMI cable. If you need one, I'll have a link to one in my description below, so please check that out. But anyways, if we can plug into the display port on the motherboard and be able to pull up the BIOS or be able to see any graphics on the screen, then that means we have an integrated GPU and we can go ahead and yank out the NVIDIA GPU and salvage it for another project. So here's me powering on the machine and spamming F2 to enter the BIOS to do this quick test. As you can see, the BIOS launches. So this tells me we do have integrated graphics. We confirm we have 16 gigs of RAM, and I can go ahead with removing the NVIDIA GPU when we come to that. But since I'm here, I do a quick memory test to make sure everything looks good. And after this test runs, it looks like everything is working as it should. So with that being said, let's go into the hardware upgrade. So I started off by yanking out the GPU. It was quite easy. All I had to do was just lift up this tab and then just kind of wiggle it out and remove that tab at the bottom. You kind of got to be a little rough, but not too rough. It's a little it's old hardware, so you got to be a little careful with it still. So the next thing I did is I removed the bracket for the SSD just to get myself a little bit of space. There's a few things we got to do back here. First, I need to free up this SATA power cable. That way we can power the other SSD that I'll be bringing in soon. So let's go ahead and do that. Unbundle the cables and unplug the LED power button. With this out of the way, now we got to go ahead and plug in our data cable into the motherboard. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Now that everything is ready to go, let's go ahead and start plugging things in. So I'm going to plug in the SATA data cable into my 1 TB SSD here. And then I'm going to plug in the power cable that we just freed up. And since I'm hacking this together, I'm going to do something a little ghetto here. I'm going to use some tape to hold this SSD in place. So I haven't had any problems with taping things like this before, so I don't predict I'll have any problems with this right now. Now I wouldn't do this for like a client or anything, but this is just one of my one of my cheap budget builds, so I see no issues here. Now that everything is in place, I'm going to go ahead and boot up to BIOS one more time, and I'm going to make sure that BIOS can recognize this new drive. So very simply, I'm going to plug in all the cables again, plug in the keyboard, and power on the PC while spamming the F2 key once again. Once I'm here, I can look at the boot options, and you'll see that I have a new entry here for the 1 terabyte drive. So this tells me everything is plugged in and everything is working as it should. We recovered the GPU and we extended the storage. And now we need to get in there and start working on the software. So for the software, I decided to go with Start9 OS. But before I show you how I did that, if you're enjoying this content, please drop a like and a subscribe and let me know what you want to see next in the comments below. Also, I put together this guide called 10 operational practices that help you keep more Bitcoin over time. We go over little things like timing your withdrawals, UTXO management, things like that. Things that can help you retain more Bitcoin over time as a node operator. You can get it here on my website at escapefromfiat.com. And lastly, if you need one-on-one time with me, you can book some time with me here. There'll be a link in the description. I can help you with Bitcoin stuff, infrastructure stuff, node stuff, software stuff, anything like that. So let's go ahead and get started with flashing Start9 OS onto our hardware. So I'm going to start off by navigating to the Start9 DIY page for the x86 platform. And if we scroll down here, you can see the recommended OS requirements for running Bitcoin. We need a quad-core CPU, which we hit that. If you have a modern CPU, you don't really need to worry about this too much. What's more important here is going to be your RAM and your storage here. So we did identify that I got 16 gigs of RAM, and I did install another 1 terabyte for a grand total of 1500 gigabytes of storage on my system. So I should be good to go. I'm going to go ahead and continue with the flashing guide. Here in the flashing guide, I'm going to see that the image that I want is the server1 x86-64 non-free.iso. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to their GitHub releases page right here and get it. So I'm going to click it, open it here, scroll down. I'm going to find the x86-64 non-free.iso and click it. I already clicked this about a minute ago to get the download started. So here it is. You can see it just finished. So with this ISO downloaded, let's go ahead and verify its checksum. So when we run the SHA-256 algorithm on the file that we just downloaded, we should expect to get this guy here, this hash, right? Because this is the file that we just downloaded, the StartOS x86-64 non-free. So we should expect this hash, the 29B hash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a terminal here, and I'm going to navigate to my downloads folder, and I'm going to run the SHA-256 calculation on the file I just downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and do SHA-256 sum, and I'm going to type in the name of the file that we just downloaded, which is StartOS yada 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 x86-64 non-free. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, and we're going to see what we get. We should get this hash here. And there it is. You can see 29B OF1, 29B OF1, and then it ends with 1616E. And it ends in 1616E. So everything looks good to me. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a flash drive, a USB flash drive, and I'm going to plug it into my computer here. What we need to do now is we need to flash this image onto our flash drive. That way we can use it as an installer for our other PC. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up, I'm going to go over to Balena Etcher. So this is a tool you can use to flash your image to your USB drive. I already have a tool. It's called Popsicle. So I'm not going to be downloading Balena Etcher. However, the rules are exactly the same. As you can see here, you select an image, select the drive, then flash. We're going to do the same exact thing with Popsicle right here. So I'm going to choose the image, find the one that we just got. I'm going to choose the flash drive next, and then I'm going to click flash. And I'm going to let it do its thing. Now that we have StartOS flashed onto our USB drive, we can go ahead and pop this into our other computer and install StartOS onto our thrift store computer. So here we are booting up from the USB drive. All I did was plug in the keyboard, turn on the machine, and spam F12 again to enter the boot menu. From the boot menu, I'm selecting the USB drive so we can start the Start9 installer. and we're just going to go to the prompts. We could just sit back here as it will pick the defaults after a few seconds. So after selecting your USB drive, just sit back and enjoy the show for a few minutes. Now that we access the Start menu, we're going to select the disk that we want to install Start OS to. I want to install Start OS to the SU650 500 gigabyte drive here. That way we can install the app data on the 1 terabyte drive. So let's go ahead and select the A data drive here and install Start OS to it. Once it's done, it's going to ask us to reboot the system and unplug the USB drive. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm unplugging it now and then pressing reboot. Press F1 again to get through the error that I have on my imperfect system. And just like that, you can see that we completed the install of the Start OS. Next, we need to perform the final setup. I'm going to do that by first plugging in this machine to the network. That way I can access it through start9.local on my other machine. So let me go ahead and do that. So I plugged in my server into my router with the Ethernet cable, and now I'm back on my main machine. Now I'm going to navigate to start.local in the browser so we can access the web setup page for our Start9 server. And here I do make a small mistake. I should be clicking the 1 terabyte drive. So if you're on this step, you're going to want to select the 1 terabyte drive because here is where we're selecting the storage drive of our applications. I made the mistake of clicking the SU650, but for you, make sure you do not make that mistake and click your big drive because if you want to run a Bitcoin full node, you need at least 700 to 800 gigs. So you should go ahead and click the 1 terabyte drive. Good, now our system is fully initialized. Now we need to do a few more things. We need to set up HTTPS to secure our system. And then we need to actually access our system and set up Bitcoin and electrs and whatever else we want to set up. You'll notice that the screen's going to change right now. You'll notice that my browser is going to change a little bit. This is from a different recording that I did, but here I'm going to show you doing all that stuff right now. So the first thing that I'm going to do from this post setup page, I'm going to click the download address info button here and download the HTML file. So the first thing I'm going to do is download our system certificate, and then I'm going to access our system and see what happens. Here we're prompted with instructions to trust our root certificate authority. So we did steps 1 and 2 already in the previous step. We're skipping step 1 actually, but we did step 2 in the previous step when we downloaded the CRT file. And then now we're going to perform the step number 3. So we're going to go ahead and click the view instructions here and continue with that. So I'm using Arch Linux, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use these instructions right here. And I'm going to go ahead and open up a terminal and paste these things in. But notice the adjective noun.crt, that's going to be different based on the file that I downloaded. So mine's going to be validliquor.local.crt. So that's just something to note. So when we type in the command, we're going to need to update the command to use the real value that we have. Good, and now that that's done, we just need to refresh our page. Here I was having issues because my VPN was turned on. So what I had to do is I had to just turn off my VPN and then refresh the page and then everything just worked. So that's what I did here when the camera fades out. And now we are into our welcome page. So I want to set up Bitcoin knots with an electr server. That way I could link this to my Sparrow wallet when I'm ready for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go check out the marketplace. The marketplace is where all the apps are packaged, and the marketplace is grouped up in what's called registries. So you have the official registry, and then you have the community registry, and the different registries provide different applications, and they provide different levels of of guarantee backed by the Start9 team. So we're going to have to enable the community registry to download Bitcoin knots. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the community registry, find Bitcoin knots, and then begin the download. Once it's downloaded, I'm going to click view installed, and we'll see that it needs config here in the status. So I'm going to go ahead and click this yellow configure button, and the system is good to run with defaults. That's what it says here in the green text. So I'm just going to go ahead and press save, and that's going to allow me to press start. And now we wait. So Bitcoin Knots is going to take a few days, maybe even a week or two to sync. So you're going to need to just let this do its thing. To be able to use this node with Sparrow Wallet, we're going to need to download the electrs service. So let's go ahead and go back to the Start9 registry and download that. Once again, like the Bitcoin Knots setup, it needs a configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and click the yellow config button here. And same thing, I'm just going to roll with the defaults. So electrs is dependent on Bitcoin knots. So we're going to let Bitcoin knots sync. And then when Bitcoin knots is done, then electrs should begin its sync. Electrs should only take about a day or two to sync. But you notice how long this is taking, right? So it takes weeks for Bitcoin knots to sync. And that's kind of ridiculous. If you're doing this on a Raspberry Pi, personally, it took me 6 weeks to sync. And that's why Bitcoin Knots is important, right? So Bitcoin Core is allowing people to spam the blockchain with non-monetary transactions. And so what that means for node runners like you and me is it means long download times to get our things set up. It also means higher storage requirements, right? Imagine if the blockchain was 3 or 4 terabytes large. 1 terabyte costs about 150 bucks already. So anyways, that's my tangent on Bitcoin Knots versus Bitcoin Core. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.